Hello, Phantomaniacs! Welcome to the newest unboxing here on the Needless Things YouTube channel. I know I'm a little behind on these ReAction Plus figures, but it took a little while to get... I had to get 4 doubles. Well, 1 double of each of the 4 figures, because there were some... I got 2 from Target that had these stickers on the back. Let's see. Hang on, I'll show you. They had these stickers on the back, which you would think, oh, you use a hairdryer on them for 30 seconds, a minute, whatever, and they'll peel right up. And as when I started trying to peel them, they did not peel right up. They didn't, and maybe you want to put some Goo on, but as soon as you put Goo on a paper product, that's no good. So anyway, the point is, for one reason or another, I had to wait until I had 2 of each of the 4 figures before I wanted to open them. But now I'm going to open them. And we will be comparing this Hasbro Duke to the Duke that Hasbro released. First of all, let's take a look at it. These cards are beautiful. They are sturdy as they need to be. Not as thick as Hasbro's retro card back classifieds, obviously, but nice and thick to, just like all of Super 7's cards, to where if you take care of them, they're going to be fine. Unpunched, I got 2 unpunched because both of these came... Oh, wait a minute. Where did this Duke come from? I got my first Duke from Super 7. The second one came from Target. Because it's been this whole pre-order thing of they get listed one place, then they're in stock later, then they do pre-order, then it's been a very interesting process that, while I did find it kind of annoying, it also did make it a little more fun. And I hate saying that, because at this point in my life, like, my number one preference would be to know I can walk into a store and buy something. Like, that would be my collecting experience preference. And that, maybe it would take a few shipments for me to get a figure from a specific wave, but eventually I could pretty much rely on finding stuff in stores. That is not a reality anymore, and has not been for a very, very long time. I'm talking like 20 years. So now my preference is something pops up for pre-order or live order and will be in my hands, if it's a pre-order within a few weeks, if it's a live order, in a week. And these, like, Target got them first, then Super 7 got them, and then Raymar and the Fatal Fluffy. Like, it's been this whole process. So anyway, now I'm reviewing them. And we're taking a look at Duke. Beautiful card back. And then we actually have a file card. And I'm reading it now, and this is not this is a new file card, which I will admit I didn't pay much attention to the file cards. I mean, right now I'm still buying 2 of each of these ReAction Plus figures, 1 to keep carded, 1 to open up. We'll see how long that lasts. But I didn't pay that much attention to the cards on the first wave. But yeah, this is all new stuff. Very interesting. Maybe we'll talk about these on Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast. Next episode coming next Friday, or I guess Friday the 21st, February 21st, depending on when you're watching this video. So yeah, there we go. We've got the cross-sell up here, the classic style cross-sell with the collect them all. Like Super 7, whatever you want to say about Super 7, they know what they're doing. Like, this looks how it should look. This has that nostalgia. It feels good. But it is also, they've actually got a tray in the bubble. We'll go ahead and take a look at that now. Oh, Duke, First Sergeant. I like saying his name Duke, because that's how the Sunbow narrator always said it, and it always kind of tickled me. But yeah, unlike the original Joe figures, this actually has a tray to keep the figure, because Super 7 knows that opening their stuff is optional, sort of. I look at their items as works of art. And I have a lot of ReAction figures that I've just kept mint on card, which is not something that I do generally. I'm an opener. I open almost everything that I buy. But with Super 7, the way their presentation is such that I consider their packaging part of the presentation in a way that I don't really, or in a way that's different from how I look at other action figure lines. Duke's head doesn't turn at all. That's interesting. Might have to open him up and take a look at that. I did it with the last wave just to see what was in there. I guess we'll do that again with Duke. Otherwise, all the joints are good. He can sit down, nice knee bends, little more than 90-degree bend. Let's go ahead and zoom in here. A little more than 90-degree bend on the elbows, so that's nice. Everything works well. Feels like the O-ring is better. If you remember, the O-rings in some of the first wave, particularly Cobra Commander, was really tight to the point where you couldn't get the figure to like not look like that. But we're good on this one. It feels like everything is where it should be. My gripe with these is still I don't like the silver rivets. But outside of that, if the Joe figures, because I loved the Sunbow cartoon when I was a kid, and I still do, I just love seeing that merging, because there were so many lines in the 80s where the cartoon version looked nothing like the toy that I had. And I would have been so happy to see this kind of stuff back then. It would have been confusing, though, to have this and the regular line. Look, I love the sharpness of the sculpt. Just take a look at his pouches, the buckle, the belt buckle. Like, everything is so sharp and well-defined. There's no softness in this sculpt whatsoever. Portrait looks great. He looks a little angrier than I might have had Duke look, but at the same time, maybe it's a reaction to happy smiling Duke from the 80s. The detail on the boots is great. This is, it's a little version of their Ultimates figure. So let's do a little comparison. I've got Hasbro's supposed Sunbow Duke, which is really just a repaint. Well, so my understanding of these figures is that they scanned the original figures. I don't even remember how this thing comes off. They scanned the original figures and oh wait, it's back here, isn't it? Yeah. And then reproduced them based on those scans, which is why some of the detail is a little softer. But I mean, I really liked these. I gave them a good review. And I will say, well, first of all, this one's head actually turns, so that's an advantage. And then the rivets match the surrounding plastic, which I do prefer. I think the colors on Super 7's version are truer. Well, the colors and the proportions. Well, and the detailing. Because this is just Duke in Sunbow colors. This is Sunbow Duke. So proportionally, it matches the cartoon. This is a more successful execution. But this, to me, is still a great figure. I don't know if you can even really tell in the video, but to my eye, no, they're about the same. I think it's just the darker trousers that are making his shirt look like it's a little different color. But I got to tell you, I think the shirts are almost the same color. Yeah, his just looks a little more mustardy next to his pants. But yeah, not denigrating this figure at all. This is still a great Duke figure. Yeah, it just is. But if you want a Sunbow Duke, then this is the Duke for you. So let's open him up, because I want to see if there's anything I can do about his head just not turning at all. I suspect not. It feels like it's like that's just how the sculpt is. It doesn't feel like there's some blockage or error or something. Let's see. So he's got the tab on the back there. Put that in place. It doesn't feel like it's that tab. Huh. Maybe it just needs to be worked loose a little bit. I'm not going to put the arms back on yet because we're still playing around with this. Okay, so yeah, it just needed to be moved around a little bit, I think. Huh. Now, did we lose, because the head is, or does appear to be painted. It might be harder to get him apart without the arms. There we go. So I think the paint around that neck peg right there was just a little thick, and that's what was keeping his head from turning. So let's put him back together and see what we got. Although I don't see any like paint flake or anything on my workbench, so I don't know. Who knows? Who understands how any of this works? Even after opening it up, it still seems like magic to me. Oh, come on. There we go. Screw back in. I'm not going to over tighten it. I'm just going to go until it's got a little resistance. And look at that. Oh, look at that. That head moves great now. Cool. Okay, so Duke figure, aside from the silver rivets, which aren't a huge deal to me because I still think the figure looks great. I would just prefer it if they were, like that. Although, I think I mentioned this in my review of these figures. I don't care for the size of these flat rivets. Like, it's obviously not as distracting as the silver, but I don't care for how big these are. All right, we got to keep moving. We have his control headband that is a softer PVC plastic that's right on his head like that. Good for figure photography, I'm sure. But is anybody actually going to display their Duke on the shelf with that headband? I don't know. I might, only because I've got so many Duke figures and this is something different. But fits on really nicely. Like it's on there. Looks good. It's got a little flexibility, so it's fine. And then he also comes with, of course, the Sunbow laser blaster. The XL. I will never, ever remember the name of this, and I don't know why. The XLR something or other. But look at the fine detail of the sculpt on this. Again, that really, really sharp detail. Looks great. And I guess let's do a comparison since we've got Hasbro's right here. Both look great. I don't really have a complaint about either of them. But I will say, look at the difference, though, in that little plus right there, and then back here, it's further back. This one, Super 7's does, again, just look more like the Sunbow. It's a little thicker, and obviously the color is more like the cartoon. Nothing wrong with this one, but it is more like Snowjob's rifle than it is a Sunbow rifle. Blaster, excuse me. Whatever. All right, how do we fit in the hand? It's got. So this is the thing that scares me about Super 7 stuff. Although having just played around with the head and finding a little more flexibility, look at that. Head turns with no problem now. The hands do feel kind of rigid on the Super 7 releases, which makes me nervous about, you know, giving them their weapons and stuff. But he can hold that great. Looks good. No stands with these, which I'm okay with as somebody who does not display figures on a stand by default. It works for me, and I have still got tons of Small Joe's stands, which I highly recommend if you're trying to display your vintage Joes. Smalljoes.com. I personally feel like their stands are the best. They're clear and they've got tapered pegs, so you can very carefully place all of your figures of different size footholes. So there is Super 7's ReAction Plus Sunbow Duke. I think he's great. I'm thrilled to have him. Going forward, it'll be interesting to see, because Super 7 is aware that people do not love the silver rivets. It'll be interesting to see if they make a change there, or if they just leave them the way they are so that they all match. And at this point, I don't know what my preference would be on that. So thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends about Needless Things. We've got tons and tons and tons more reviews coming all the time. Check out Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. And check out the Needless Things podcast, also wherever you get your podcasts, and right here on the Needless Things YouTube channel. So thanks for watching. Till next time, buy what you like.
Smash that like button if you like Needless Things.